Hello students, how are you doing? My name is Askar Khan and I will be explaining to you in this lesson solving one-step equations. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to solve one-step equations in one variable. So welcome to the lesson. Before we jump into solving equations, let us first understand the addition and subtraction properties of equality. What is the addition property of equality? Adding the same number to each side of an equation produces an equivalent equation. For example, let's take in algebra, if A is equal to B, then if I add the same value on both sides of the equation will still be equivalent. A plus C will be equal to B plus C. Observe over here. If I add the same value on both sides of the equation will still be the same as A is equal to B. Adding the same value on both sides of the equation will result in an equivalent equation. So that is what it means by addition property of equality. Adding the same number to each side of an equation produces an equivalent equation. Now, what is the inverse of addition? The inverse of addition is subtraction. So if I have to remove something that is added, I will subtract the same value on both sides. So what happens? The plus and the minus cancels and I am left with A is equal to B. Get it? So if I want to remove addition, I do the inverse operation of addition, that is subtraction. For example, let's take an example. X minus 3 is equal to 2. Now I want to find the value of x. So since this is minus 3, how will I remove a minus operation? It is by addition. So I will add 3 on both sides of the equal sign. So what happens? The minus 3 and the plus 3 is 0. I am left with x is equal to 5. So the value of x is 5. So basically, what is the inverse of addition? It is subtraction. So if you want to remove something that is added, you subtract. Similarly, if you want to remove something that is subtracted, what do? You add. And let us look at the subtraction property of equality. So what is the subtraction property of equality? Subtracting the same number from each side of an equation produces an equivalent equation. For example, if A is equal to B, then when we subtract the same number, A minus C will be equal to B minus C. So subtracting the same number on both sides of the equal sign will still result in an equivalent equation. For example, x plus 3 is equal to 2. Now over here, 3 is added. How will I remove the addition? It is by subtraction. So I subtract 3 on both sides. So what do I get? Plus 3 and minus 3 is 0. So x is equal to 2 minus 3, negative 1. So this is the subtraction property of equality. So once again, how will you remove something that is added? You subtract. How will you remove something that is subtracted? You add. Now based upon this knowledge, let us solve some of the equations. Let's try this. Solving an equation using subtraction. So what is the solution of x plus 13 is equal to 27? Remember, the first step in solving any equation for a variable is isolate the variable. Keep it alone. Separate it from everything else. So if I want to keep x alone, I have to remove the plus 13. How will I remove the plus 13? Remember, what is the inverse operation of addition? It is subtraction. So I will subtract 13 on both sides of the equal sign. So let's proceed with that. So x plus 13 is equal to 27. I have to remove plus 13. So I subtract 13 on both sides of the equal sign. And 13 minus 13 is 0. So I am left with x is equal to 27 minus 13 is 14. So this is the solution of the equation. So this is the value of x. So what do we mean by solving an equation? Meaning finding that value of x which will make the equation true. So let's see whether you got it or not. I'll give you a problem, pause the video, work it out on your own. What is the solution of y plus 2 is equal to negative 6? So isolate the variable, keep the y alone and remove everything else. So how will you remove plus 2? You subtract 2 on both sides. Let's do that. So subtracting 2 on both sides of the equation, what do we get? Plus 2 and minus 2 cancels, and we are left with y is equal to minus 6 minus 2 is minus 8. So this is the solution of the equation. So let's move on to further problems. Let's try this. What is the solution of minus 7 is equal to b minus 3? So we have to find the value of b. The first step, keep b alone, isolate b. So how will I remove everything that is associated with b? How will I remove minus 3? You add 3 on both sides because the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. So let's see what do we get. So we have the equation minus 7 is equal to b minus 3. Add 3 on both sides. So minus 3 and plus 3 is 0. And minus 7 plus 3 is negative 4 equal to b. Or you can write it as b equal to minus 4. So this is the solution of the equation. So let's see whether you have got it or not. Can you try this? What is the solution of each equation? M minus 8 is equal to minus 14. So I want m alone. So I have to remove minus 8. How will I remove minus 8? By adding 8 on both sides. So I add 8 plus 8 on both sides. So what do I get? M is equal to 8 minus 14 is minus 6. So that is the solution of this equation. So try another one. Half is equal to y minus 3 over 2. How will you do this? How will I remove minus 3 over 2? By adding 3 over 2 on both sides. Simple as that. So I add 3 over 2 on both sides. So the equation now will look like y is equal to half plus 3 over 2. We all have learned how to add fractions. If the denominators are same, what do we do with the numerators? We just add them together and then write the denominator once. We have learned this in our lower grades. So 3 plus 1 is 4 divided by the denominator, which is 2. So 4 divided by 2, y is equal to 2. So that is the solution of this equation. Great going. Now let's move on to multiplication and division properties of equality. But before we go, just a quick revision. What is the inverse operation of addition? It's subtraction. What is the inverse operation of subtraction? It is addition. So let's move on now. So what is the multiplication property of equality? Multiplying each side of an equation by the same non-zero number produces an equivalent equation. For example, if A is equal to B, then if you multiply this equation with the same number, that number should not be 0. On both sides of the equation, it will still be an equivalent equation. So then A times C will be same as B times C. So it will still result in the same equation. And what is the inverse operation of multiplication? It's division. And what is the inverse operation of division? It's multiplication. For example, let's take x over 3 is equal to 2. So if I multiply by the same number on both sides of the equation, x over 3 times 3 equal to 2 times 3. So the equation will still be equivalent. Let's look at the division property now. So the division property of equality is dividing each side of an equation by the same non-zero number produces an equivalent equation. For example, if A is equal to B, where A and B are any real numbers, then A divided by C will be same as B divided by C. Dividing by the same number on both sides will still result in an equivalent equation. For example, 5x is equal to 20. I can divide by the same number on both sides of the equal sign, and the result will still be an equivalent fraction. So based upon this understanding, let's jump to solving some equations. A quick review again. How do you remove multiplication? It is by division. How do you remove division? By multiplication. How do you remove addition? By subtraction. How do you remove subtraction? By addition. Great. Now let's move on to the problems. Let's look at this. What is the solution of 4x is equal to 6.4? So let's write down the equation. 4x is equal to 6.4. The first step is we need to isolate the variable. How do we isolate the variable? Remove everything that is coming along with it. So 4 is multiplied by x. So how will I remove multiplication? It is by division. So I will divide both sides of the equation by 4. So what happens? 4 divided by 4 is 1. So I am left with x is equal to 6.4 divided by 4 is 1.6. So this is the solution of the equation. So let's see whether you have got it or not. So solve this. You can hit the pause button, solve it on your own, and then check for the working by clicking the play button again. And remember to subscribe to this channel, Wisdom Outline, and also click the like button. So let's go ahead with this. What is the solution of each equation? 10 is equal to 15x. So I need to remove the 15 that is multiplied with x. How will I remove multiplication? By division. So I will divide by 15 on both sides of the equal sign. So I divide by 15 on both sides of the equal sign. So what do I get? X is equal to 10 over 15. Now let's learn how to divide fractions. Which is the number that can divide 10 and 15? A number that can divide 10 and 15. Think of it. It's 5. So good. Now 5 divides 10 how many times? 5 times what is 10? 5 times 2 is 10. And 5 times what is 15? 5 times 3 is 15. So this is how you simplify fractions. So the final answer is x is equal to 2 over 3. So that is the solution of this equation. Great. Let's try this. Minus 3.2 times z is equal to 14. So what will I remove? I will remove negative 3.2. How will I remove it? Because it's multiplied with z, I will divide by negative 3.2 on both sides. So divide by negative 3.2 on both sides of the equal sign. So we are left with z is equal to 14 divided by negative 3.2. And what will be the answer of this? So the answer is z is equal to negative 35 over 8. Or if you want to give it as a decimal, it's going to be negative 4.375. And that is the solution of this equation. So let's move on to solving using multiplication. So solving an equation using multiplication. Remember, what is the inverse operation of division? It's multiplication. So what is the solution of x over 4 is equal to minus 9? Now let's write down this equation before we move on to solve. X over 4 or x divided by 4 is equal to negative 9. Now since x is divided by 4, how will I remove division? It's by multiplication. So I will multiply by 4 on both sides of the equation. So what happens? I multiply by 4 on both sides of the equation. So 4 and 4 cancels. X will be equal to negative 36. This is the solution of this equation. So how will you remove division? By multiplication. So let's see whether you have got it or not. Let's try this. What is the solution of each equation? 19 is equal to r divided by 3. So I want only r. I need to remove the division of 3. How will I remove division? By multiplication. So in this case, I multiply by 3 on both sides. So let's proceed with the problem. So 19 is equal to r over 3. I multiply by 3 on both sides of the equation. So r will be equal to 19 times 3. And that's going to be 57. So this is how you solve the problem. Let's try another one. X divided by negative 9 is equal to 8. Now let's be a bit quick here. How will you remove negative 9 that is divided? You will multiply by negative 9 on both sides. So let's go ahead. X divided by negative 9 is equal to 8. So I multiply by negative 9 on both sides. I don't have to always put the multiplication sign. So now negative 9 cancels with negative 9. We are left with x is equal to 8 times negative 9, which is negative 72. And that is the solution of this equation. Let's solve this problem. But before we even get into solving this problem, let's refresh some of our concepts. What do you mean by reciprocal? Reciprocal is flipping the fraction. For example, if I have a fraction 2 over 5, what is the reciprocal of 2 over 5? It's 5 over 2. What is the reciprocal of A over B? It's B over A. So you know the concept of reciprocals now. Now let's come back to the problem. What is the solution of 4 over 5m equals 28? Now observe over here, whenever the coefficient is multiplied by a variable, and if the coefficient is a fraction, this is a fraction, 4 over 5, you can remove the fraction by multiplying by its reciprocal on both sides, of course. So let's write down over here, the fraction is 4 over 5m equals 28. Now this is an equation where the coefficient of the variable is a fraction. Now how will I remove a fraction? By multiplying by its reciprocal on both sides. What is the reciprocal of 4 over 5? It's 5 over 4. So I multiply on both sides by 5 over 4. So what happens? We also learned in the previous lessons that when a number and its reciprocal are multiplied, the result, the product is always 1. So this is 1. So we are left with m is equal to 28 times 5 over 4. And that is how much? 35. This is the solution of the equation. Let's see whether you got it or not. So what is the solution of 12 is equal to 3 over 4 times x? Is the variable multiplied by a fraction? Yes. And how do we remove a fraction if it's a coefficient multiplied by a variable? We remove by its reciprocal. So let's do that. 3 over 4x is equal to 12. I multiply by its reciprocal. What is the reciprocal of 3 over 4? It's 4 over 3. So I multiply by 4 over 3 on both sides of the equation. And this results in 1. And x is equal to how much? 16. So that is the solution of this equation. Let me tickle your brain over here. Are the equations m is equal to 18 and 2 over 3 times m equal to 12 equivalent? Are these two equations equivalent? How do you know? So can you think how you will go about doing this? What you can do is solve the value and find out m. If you land up with m as 18, which is the same as over here, then the two equations are equivalent. So let's do that. So let's see, 2 over 3 times m is equal to 12. Now this is a fraction. How will I remove the multiplication of a fraction? I multiply by its reciprocal on both sides. What is the reciprocal of 2 over 3? 3 over 2. So I multiply by 3 over 2 on both sides. And this cancels. We are left with m is equal to 12 times 3 divided by 2 is 18. So the two equations are equivalent. Excellent. Let's try a word problem. Now let's look at applying one-step equations into science. Toucans and blue and yellow macaws are both tropical birds. These are toucans and these are the blue and yellow macaws. The length of an average toucan is about 2/3 of the length of an average blue and yellow macaw. So what is the length of an average toucan? It's about 2/3 of the macaws. Toucans are about 24-inch long. What is the length of an average blue and yellow macaw? How would you go about doing this? So according to the information given in the question, let's represent this whole problem in the form of an equation. So let L be the length of the macaw. So the question says the toucans are 2/3 the length of the macaws. So 24, and the length of the toucan is given as 24. So 24 is equal to 2/3 the length of the macaws. Now once it is framed like an equation, it becomes pretty easy to go about. So how will you remove the 2 over 3 in order to find L? You multiply by the reciprocal of 2 over 3, which is 3 over 2 on both sides. So we will multiply 24 is equal to 2 over 3L. We will multiply by 3 over 2 on both sides. And this cancels with this. We are left with L is equal to 24 times 3 over 12, which is 36. So the length of the blue and yellow macaw is 36 inch. Good. You learned something about these two birds today. Excellent. Let's see whether you can do one on your own. Let's see this. An online DVD rental company offers gift certificates that you can use to purchase rental plans. You have a gift certificate for $30. The plan you select costs $5 per month. The question is, how many months can you purchase with the gift certificate? So first and the foremost thing, can you represent this whole paragraph, this whole problem into an equation? So let's see how we go about. So what is the variable here? Let m be the number of months, stand for months. And now we have $30 is equal to every month it costs you $5. So 5m. So you need to figure out what is the value of m. How many months can you use this card? So once you have determined the equation, then solving for m becomes easy. How will you remove the 5 that is multiplied with m? You divide by 5 on both sides. So this goes, and m is equal to 30 divided by 5, 6 months. So you can use the gift card for 6 months. Basically, do you get an idea of how to write an equation given a word problem, given the model of a problem? So thank you for watching this video. This completes equations with one variable, one-step equations. So I hope you have enjoyed the lesson, and I hope you have understood how to solve equations in one variable one-step equations. Subscribe to my channel Wisdom Outlined and click the like button for more of math videos, and share these videos with one and all. My name is Askar Khan and I run a Wisdom Outlined YouTube channel for math videos. Please do subscribe for this channel. And for self-help programs, I run a YouTube channel called Principles Outline. I offer math coaching classes. You can contact me on this WhatsApp number 00966 507081702. I take math classes in person as well as online. So do comment. Please write down your comments under the section below, as well as subscribe to this channel and share this video with one and all. Up until then, keep learning. Thank you.